Well, good afternoon. Robin Miller here, your winking chef. I'm so happy to be on here with you all this afternoon. I am excited because I'm going to make a recipe that I just love, and it's my recipe, and and I hope you'll enjoy it. We went, I've been to the beach 3 times this year. I love going to the beach, and when people call you up and say, "Hey, come and go with me," why shouldn't you go? But when we went on a family vacation, we usually go to Hilton Head, and we went to a restaurant that we've eaten many times. We love that restaurant. It is one of our favorites, and I was feeling some chowder that night. That's what I wanted, some seafood chowder. And when they brought it to me, now I'm not going to tell you the name of the restaurant at all because it is truly a good restaurant. The chowder, when they brought it to me, it was so thick, the spoon would stand up in it. And it looked like and tasted like somebody had made breakfast gravy with no sausage and chopped up some seafood and put in it. Well, I couldn't eat that. And I was so disappointed because I was looking so forward to that. So I came home and I went back to the condo where we were staying, and I created my own seafood chowder. So this is what I'm going to do. This is my chowder that we're going to have today, and it is seafood chowder. Now, there's many variations you can do to a chowder. A lot of chowders call for white fish. I'm not putting any white fish in mine. I'm putting crab meat in mine. More importantly, I just went ahead and bought crab cakes. Some high quality, a lot of crab. I bought some crab cakes, and that's what I'm going to put in mine. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to eat here in a little while, and I'm going to go ahead and do the it's seafood chowder, and I will tell you, we have shrimp, a good amount of shrimp. We have scallops, we have chopped up clams, and we have the crab meat, like I said. So, also, you always put, it's chowder, so it's got to have a little corn in it. It's got to have a little potato in it. Last night, I made my seafood stock. And for my recipe, I need about 5 cups. And here it is. And I will tell you, I stunk up the whole house. I bought my shrimp, fresh shrimp, wild caught. If I can at all, I will only buy it wild caught. Now, occasionally, I have to buy something else when I'm doing something. And I'm sure that when I dine out, I'm not eating wild caught. But anyway, so to make my seafood stock, I just peel those shrimp and put the shells in a pot, filled it with some water. I used about 6 or 7 cups of water, and I cooked it for about 45-50 minutes. And this is my seafood stock right there. So that's what we're going to be using today. Okay, so I'm going to adjust this camera. I'm going to put you on hold and adjust this camera, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I am back. Now, I know you can see this pot. You might not be able to see my face, but we're going to go ahead and get started on this, and I'm going to read you the ingredients as I put them in here. And remember, write these ingredients down as I'm giving them to you, and that way you'll have them later if you decide this is something you'd like to fix for your family. That is 5 tablespoons of butter right there. I use unsalted butter. You can use salted butter. It's entirely up to you. And we are going to let that melt. And I should have had my pot hot, and I don't. And to that, when it gets melted, we're going to add a medium chopped up onion. And I've already got that chopped up. We're going to put that in there, and we are going to cook that until it's tender. Yeah, that's going to take a minute, but it won't take long. These gas stoves are warm. Like I was telling you about the crab meat. I love crab meat. It is, for a pint, it was like $45 at the shrimp dock yesterday. And I'm not saying it's not worth it, but I didn't need that much. So I just went ahead and I bought crab cakes, which is what I did while I was at the beach. And I will tell you why I've used the crab cakes, because there's other things they put in those crab cakes, and a few breadcrumbs, and that few breadcrumbs that's going to be in those crab cakes will serve as an extra thickener in here in case I get wild and putting too much of my stock, or it calls for a half a cup of wine I'll put in here too. So if I get crazy, that extra breadcrumbs will help with that. So okay, my butter is just about melted. I'm going to add my onions, and like I said, we're going to cook them until they're soft, and that's what we're going to do. And that's a sweet onion I'm using. Use any kind of onion you want. You want a yellow onion or a white onion, you go right ahead. It's entirely up to you. You use any kind of onion you want. I will say this for those of you who don't love onions. I don't like raw onions, but when you cook them, it changes the flavor for me. I like cooked onions, and you can leave onions out if that's what you want to do. It will change the flavor a little bit. And if you don't like onions and you can taste them real harshly, and you know that may be what you're looking for. I am not. So that's what we need to do. I'm going to try to adjust this just a minute. I want to be able to let you see me better. Okay. Let's push this. Okay. Yeah, I want you to be able to see in this pot what I'm doing. I wished I had a professional guy that could stand right here and look right in on it, but I don't. But that's okay. So see, that's beginning to bubble real good right now, and we're just going to cook that all for 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll be right back. This onion is looking good. It is getting tender. We're just going to let it cook a couple more minutes. And listen, folks, if you like seafood and you like chowder, you're going to love this. It is not a difficult recipe to make. You're going to be very surprised when you see how easy this is and how easy it comes together. I mean, I'll tell you what, it is really good. Now, I'm getting ready to add some Old Bay and flour. I'm using plain flour. Use plain flour. If all you got self-rising, use self-rising. It's not going to make that much difference. So whatever you have on hand will be fine. I'm going to add a 1.5 teaspoons of Old Bay to this as soon as I get the flour in there. And we're going to stir it around and let it cook. Now, I've got 5 tablespoons of flour. Now, we know why I've got 5 tablespoons of flour, don't we? Because I have started with 5 tablespoons of butter. So I'm making it's kind of like a roux, just a thickener to get this going, and you want to use equal amounts of your fat to your thickening. In this case, it is flour. So you're going to put that in there, and we're going to put that in there and let it cook for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead because my onions are getting tender. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and we'll turn this down just a bit. Just a bit. Now, this was, like I said, this is a sweet onion. I go over as much as I can to Washington Pike, and I know you don't know where that is if you're not from around here, but Jesse's Farms, they grow vegetables in the summertime, and I go over there and get all I can. And these are the best onions I believe I've ever put in my mouth. All right, I've added my Old Bay, and I've added 5 tablespoons of flour. And we're just going to stir it around here, and we're going to let this cook for 2 to 3 minutes. So we're going to do that. And just let it cook. We're just making, you know how you do your breakfast gravy, or if you're making anything else that calls for a roux, You just kind of stir it up and don't let it burn. We're not looking to burn anything. So we're going to do that, and like I said, that's going to take 2 to 3 minutes. I'll be back on here in just a minute and show you what else we're going to do. Okay, now this is cooked. This has been cooking about 3 minutes. So now what we're going to do is add our stock, and like I said, this is seafood stock. If you're making a seafood chowder, that's what I'm going to recommend. So, and this is, like I said, homemade. That's how I stink up the kitchen. So we're going to add this stock to my pot here. That was 4 cups. Remember I said I needed 5 cups. And I've got another cup and a half a cup of wine right here mixed together. And that is white wine. Any kind of white wine will do. I would not recommend that you use a sweet wine. This is what I use. We use this. This is, Lord, I can't pronounce that. Sauvignon Blanc. Anyway, this is what we have here at the house. That's what I'm using. That's a half a cup. If you do not want to use wine, don't use any. Use all vegetable stock. I'm sorry, not vegetable stock. Use all seafood stock. If you don't have enough, then you can add a little vegetable stock. You can add a little chicken broth. You can add a little water. Whatever you want to do. Okay, now, I have got, let me tell you what I've got here. I'm going to add it in here. I'm reading here because I've written it down as I did it. I've got 1 stalk of celery and 1 carrot. And I've got that right here. And we're going to put that in there. And that is chopped. We're putting that right in there. Okay. Now, I've used about 1 pound of potatoes. I've got them chopped. If you want yours more fine than that, by all means you do that. You know I love raw potatoes. Go ahead and chop them up, but I'm putting those in there just like that. And I had a few left over, so I'm putting them in there. Okay. Now, we've got one more thing we're going to put in there, and that's our corn. It's not going to take that corn but a minute to cook, so I'm not going to put our corn in right now. I'm going to wait a few minutes, and I'll come back on here and show you when we get ready to put the corn in. Now, we're going to let this cook. Oh, let's see here. Let's see what I wrote down. I let this cook when I made it originally. I brought it up to a boil, and then I turned it down, and I let it simmer about 10 minutes. What I'm looking to do is get those vegetables tender. I don't want them mushy. I just want them fork tender. So, we're going to put the lid on. We're going to bring this up to a boil. Then we're going to put the lid on it. And we're going to let it simmer about 10 minutes. And I keep putting you all on hold because I know you've got more to do than watch me stand here and look at something that's boiling. And but that's okay. I know you don't mind, and I'd rather be courteous and thoughtful of your time. And we're just going to bring this up to a boil. It's just a cooking slow today, or I'm too fast. I don't know what that is. I had to take my sweater off. I had on a sweater that I wore to church, and just a few minutes ago, and it was getting hot, so I took my sweater off. I may be putting it back on in a few more minutes. Who knows, you know. I'll be 65, my birthday. Sometimes I'm hot, sometimes I'm cold. I know you can identify with that, can't you? Men and women can identify with that, especially if you're a man and you've been living with a woman for any length of time. You understand what I'm saying to you. So, anyway, this is getting hot. Like I said, it's nothing to make that broth. It was easy to make. I just put those shells in there, added some salt. You can add a little bit of celery and onion if that's what you want to do, and bring it just like you're making chicken stock. That's all you have to do. Man, I cannot wait till this gets ready. I really can't. This is so good, and we've been looking forward to it. We've been talking about it. You know, I told y'all I made it at the beach, and we've been talking about it ever since we come back from the beach about me needing to make some more. So, we're making it today. And it is Sunday afternoon. This is going to be, we're going to have a late lunch or an early supper, how you want to call it. We've got a couple of people coming, and my grandson has basketball this afternoon, and so late. So that's why we're eating at this. We're going to eat around 2 or 2:30. That's when we're going to eat, and it will be good. It will be delicious. Let me put the lid on there. And just keep stirring that, because you don't want until that gets incorporated good, because that flour might, if it didn't cook out good enough, it'll settle on the bottom and it might cause it to stick or burn, and we don't want that. This is a Dutch oven. It is a good heavy duty pot. Let me encourage you to use the good heavy bottomed pots. You're not gonna, you would almost have to intentionally burn something in them. These cheap flimsy ones are great for boiling water, boiling eggs. They're really good for if you're blanching something. If you're hot water bathing, I know it's canning season, they're good for that. But when it comes to making something that's like this, chicken and dumplings, anything like that that may stick on the bottom, use your heavy bottom pot. And let me just say something else to y'all about your pots and pans. And I know most of you, especially if you're my age, you've had your pots and pans for years, and you know exactly what I'm saying to you. But you young folks out there, you're getting ready to set up housekeeping, or you're deciding, hey, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to get some good pots and pans. Listen, don't buy a set of pots and pans, because there's so many things in that set you really don't need. Go someplace that they have open stock on good pots and pans, and buy the pieces that you're going to need, and buy them as you need them, and they'll last you your entire marriage. They'll last you a lifetime if they're good pots and pans. They really will. The kind that are you can see the bottom, how heavy they are, and looks like something's been pressed on them. Well, they have, and they're good heavy duty pots and pans. So there's your tip today, and that was free. Don't go spend your money. Money is too hard to come by these days. And don't go buy a bunch of stuff that you're never going to use, because trust me, rarely will you use some of that stuff that's in that pot, that's in that set. You won't do it. So just get you several. You need a good stock pot, and I recommend two. You need a big one, and then you need a medium-sized one for soups. Oh, maybe maybe a 12-quart for the big one, and a 5 or 6 quart for your soups and stocks, and get good pots and pans. And you will thank me, and you probably have already heard this from somebody else, and so go thank them, because it is the truth. I do not know. You know, they say a watch pot never boils, and this is right at boiling. It's just not. I'm going to turn you down and let you see it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause again, because I don't want to use up all of our time talking about pots and pans and how to cook this. And I want to save our time, so let me show you. See, it's just now, it's bubbling now. It's starting to boil. And so I'm going to turn this down. And we're going to let it simmer. Like I said, we're going to let that simmer about 10 minutes. And I'll be back with you. And then we're going to add our seafood and our heavy cream. I'm putting 2 cups of heavy cream in this. So we're going to add our seafood. And then we will be able to eat. Now, about that seafood, I've got 8 ounces of scallops, about 10 ounces of crab, and I have about 1.5 pounds of medium-sized shrimp. Get whatever size shrimp you want. It has to be peeled and deveined. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. Oh, one thing I was going to do, and I forgot it, so let me come back in here and show you. Put my corn in. Now it's starting to boil. Now I'm going to add the corn. This is raw corn. It is frozen from last year. This is not store-bought frozen corn, but that will work. I'm putting a 1/2 cup in there, and I'm going to stir it around. Now on this corn and some of this other stuff, I'm going to put a little bit more, and that's what I'm going to tell you. You put what you like in there, and the only way to tell is add you a little bit, stir it up, and see what it looks like, and see if you need to add some more. And I'm going to add another that's a whole cup of corn in there, and that's what I've decided I needed. I don't want a gob of corn, but it gives it such a pop of flavor. Okay, I'm gonna put this back on let it come back up, and keep this a stirring even while you're cooking it for 10 minutes. I'll take that lid off every 2 or 3 minutes and give it a stir. We don't want it to stick. Okay, I am back. Our vegetables are just about done. Those potatoes are tender. So we're going to take this lid off here, see how big that's boiling. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is add our cream. Oh, right here it is. All right. I want you to put 2 cups of heavy whipping cream in this mixture, if you can open it. Well, I didn't realize I was that weak. Oh, there it is. 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. And this is a pint. So the way I figured it, unless they've changed something, this is 2 cups. Oh yeah, look at that. Now that's some chowder going on right there. Now we're going to add our seafood. And I'm going to add it in the order I want you to put it in. First thing we're going to do is put our scallops in. And I had 8 ounces of scallops. I've cut them in half. You don't have to cut them in half. I cut mine in half. And I did that so they'd go further. We're going to add our scallops. I bought a 6.5 ounce tin of chopped clams. That's it. I drained them good and rinsed them off. So we're going to add those chopped clams, and here they are. Let's just give you some. That's just more seafood. So that is chopped clams. If you don't want to buy those little ones in a can, then go buy you some fresh ones. And we're going to add these crab cakes. And all I'm going to do here is break them up some. That's all I'm doing. Use real crab, just regular crab if you want to. Like I said, these have a lot of crab meat in them, and so that's what I'm using. Keep that stirred. These are wonderful crab cakes. I bet these would be delicious if you baked them. But I want them in this stew because I'm not adding fish. I didn't want any fish in here. This is what I want in here. Now, we've got all that in there. Now, we've got one more ingredient, don't we? Let me rinse my hands off. Okay, now we're going to add some shrimp. I've got about a pound and a half of shrimp that I peeled and deveined last night. So, oh man. What about that? Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more of that shrimp in there. Wash my hands again. Okay. We're going to put the lid on this. And we're going to let it come back to a boil and turn it down and simmer it maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, not long, because that seafood will be done just in about 2 or 3 minutes. It's probably already done. Oh man, look at that. How's that look? Anyway, we put the lid on this, and I'll come back on here in a couple of minutes, and we'll taste it. Well, I'll taste it. You're not here, you can't taste it, but I'll taste it. Be back in a minute. Okay, folks, our chowder is done. We just got to add a couple of more things. We got a taste of it first. Doesn't that look good? Man, okay. I just want to get a little. Just want to taste a little bite. I'm testing to see how much salt and pepper I need. I'm not going to put much in there. I'm going to put a little pepper. That's it. And I'm going to put just a little salt. I don't think we need much salt, so I'm just putting a pinch or so in there. You taste yours, and you see what you need to do. How about that? Look at that. Man. Okay, two last little things we're going to do. We're going to add some parsley because it's ready. We just want to give it a little pop of color, add a little taste to it, a little freshness. Okay. Now, will you say I scooped me out a little bite? I'm turning it off. I'm going to put the lid on it, and it'll stay warm. Everybody ought to be here directly. Okay, let's see what I think. Here it is. Bring this down just a little bit. You know, I had to go get me a new one of these tripods. Now let's see if I need to add any more salt or pepper. I think I have put plenty in there. Oh man, this is so good. Here's a scallop. Let's see that scallop. Let's try that. Don't burn yourself. Man. One more little bite. Let's try this piece of shrimp here. Let's try this. We're going to have a big old hunk of Italian bread with this. Oops. Perfect. It's absolutely delicious. I know it's not cold, but it'd be great in the wintertime, but it's great right now. Look at that. Look at all that great seafood in there. Folks, I want y'all to give that a try sometime when you give it a try. I'm going to go over the ingredients one more time, and like I said, this is something I developed. If you don't like something I put in it, don't put it in there. This is what I'm doing. This is what I liked. This is what my family liked. So just to go over the ingredients with you one more time, let me do that real quick. 5 tablespoons of butter, 1 diced onion minced, 1 medium diced onion, a teaspoon and a half of Old Bay, 5 tablespoons of flour, a stalk of celery chopped, 1 carrot chopped, a pound of potatoes peeled and cubed. I started with a half a cup of corn. I ended up with a whole cup of corn. So 1 cup of corn kernels. I used frozen. You can use fresh. You can do whatever you want to do. Frozen's going to be your easiest. 5 cups of seafood stock, or you can use chicken broth. A half a cup of white wine. If you don't want the white wine, don't put it in there. Replace that half a cup with whatever stock or water that you're using. You can put fish in there. I'm going to recommend, if you do, to use about 8 ounces. Any kind, haddock, cod, salmon, just cut it in cubes and put it in there if that's what you want to use. I didn't want to use fish. 8 ounces of scallops is what I put in there. I cut them in half. And I used about 1.5 pounds of shrimp because I want this to be a meal. This is not an appetizer. If you want to make it an appetizer, then cut back on some of that stuff. Cut back on that shrimp. You don't need 1.5 pounds if it's going to be an appetizer. Cut back on it. Oh, I would say 12 ounces ought to be great. 2 cups of heavy cream. A 6.5 ounce container of canned chopped clams. And then, I don't know, a small handful of chopped parsley, 2 tablespoons, something like that. Now, folks, that's your ingredients, and I'm telling you right now, let me give you one more look, and then I'm going to go, but I want you to look at this. See if I can get you closer. This is some good stuff right here. It is ready and done. And you all can do this. It took me less than 30 minutes to make this. And now that's not counting your chopping time. Folks, I know you're going to enjoy this. This is, if you like seafood chowder, it's going to be great. Y'all should give that a try. I'm Robin Miller, your winking chef. I thank you for watching and liking and sharing all my videos. I appreciate that. Remember, this is the day that the Lord has made, and this is a great day. This is a wonderful day. You have so many blessings that you don't probably, I know that I do. I don't even recognize all my blessings. I had a big blessing today, and such a surprise. An old schoolmate, I haven't seen, I saw him at the reunion, I think, but I haven't seen Joe in a while, and he posted something about on there picking blackberries, and I just posted on Facebook, I'm jealous. He sent me a message today. He's going to give me some blackberries. Now, isn't that a little treat? And I'm so excited about that. Anyway, be sure to thank Jesus for what you have. And I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. You all have a great week.